Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to 101 at Legacy Maker Sports Network. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode here of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And of course, another quick ones edition, the NFL Power Rankings, week number 7. We are here. We're chugging along during the season. A lot of things have changed over the last couple of weeks. The Power Rankings are starting to shape into what we're kind of expecting here. We got a couple of teams that have been bouncing back and forth over the last couple of weeks. And some weeks it looks like a team is strong, and then some weeks the team doesn't look so strong. But it has been so much fun as we're about to enter week number 7. Tonight, we've got the Broncos traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Both teams are kind of at a point where they're trying to figure out what's next for them. The Browns have lost 2 in a row, 2 big matchups to the Ravens, and also losing to the Cardinals, 2 of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC and the best team in the AFC. And then there's the Broncos, who have lost 3 straight games after starting 3-0. So 2 teams that were kind of high on our power rankings a couple of weeks ago have slid on down in these power rankings, and now is just trying to figure out what's next for these teams. Both of these teams need this game tonight. You hate to say that it's a must win so early, but that's kind of where they are. This is a little bit of a must win because whoever loses this game, unless it's a tie, will fall into a 3-4 record on the season and under 500 after starting off the season in such positive fashions. But we'll find out all of that tonight. That should be a fun one. Now, of course, I'm not going to hold you crazy long today, but we're going to get into these power rankings. We're going to break it down the right way. And you always know, ladies and gentlemen, that we start with the bottom. All right, so our bottom teams heading into week 7 this week. First, we start off at number 32 with the Detroit Lions. I feel like every week I'm saying the same thing about the Detroit Lions, and is that they're a really good team, and it seems like let me rephrase it. I'm not going to say that they're a really good team. They seem like they could be a really good team, and I feel like they're getting closer. Yes, they're 0-6, but they've had some really tough ones over the last couple of weeks. I will say this. I feel like their confidence is starting to falter a little bit. Even though I still think they got a chance to pull off a couple of wins here throughout the season, but it's just been hard to watch. Dan Campbell, who I feel like it could be a really good coach, there's a lot going on there. And the biggest thing for me is, and Dan Campbell kind of alluded to it this week, he puts a lot, not all, but he put a lot on the shoulders of Jared Goff, because Jared Goff is the leader of this team, a very young team. And, Jared has made some costly mistakes over the last couple of weeks here and there when the Lions needed it the most. So, yes, he is probably a person that they're going to, really have to look to for the next, 11 games. And if they got to find a way to sneak some wins in there just to gain some confidence back. But, yes, we have the Lions 0-6 at number 32. Number 31, the Jets. They didn't have a game this week, so they're kind of there by default. They actually dropped the spot, but that's by default. The Jets are 1-4. They will be back this week. They take on the Patriots, a game that I still think they could win. I had picked them in earlier this year, and they disappointed me extremely. But I think they have a chance to win that contest. But I'm picking the Patriots this time. I'm not letting my emotions get the best of me. Number 30, the Texans. The Texans this season have. They won that first game of the season. It was looking pretty good, and they've lost 5 straight. Losing Tyrod Taylor, very, 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 very tough for this team. Losing Tyrod Taylor, who looked like he was going to help, maybe push this team, and he has not, been back since. They've had Davis Mills come in. Davis Mills has had some strong games for this Texans team, but to me, it's just not enough. And they're still growing. They're still young. They released one of their veteran linebackers the other day, and Marcellus. I know I'm destroying the name, but Whitley Marcellus, and I know I'm destroying it, so I do apologize. But he has been a stalwart there for that team for 10 years, and he's gone now. So the Texans at 30. And number 29, the New York Giants. My goodness, the New York Giants look so bad against the Rams. And obviously the Rams are a top-tier team. But this Giants team, deflated, beat up by just you name it, just destroyed by injuries, just looked so miserable in this game. And at one point, they were down like 31-11, I believe. It was hard to watch. If you're a Giants fan like our man Cody Stewart and Russ Telefair here on the network, it's got to be painful. If I was a Giants fan, I'd cry. So I'm sorry, guys. Don't beat me up for that one. But the Giants are 1-5. They're number 29 on this list. Number 28, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville hasn't really had a lot of success on this power ranking. They've been pretty much anywhere from this spot up to to 32. But a win this week against the Miami Dolphins. And you probably say, well, why do you have the Dolphins, who are at 27, in front of the Jaguars, even after the victory? Normally I do look at that statistic, but the Dolphins to me are still a better overall team. It was hard for me to leave it this way, but the Jaguars are, looking on the up and up. I got them at 28, the Dolphins at 27. At 26, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles played really well late in that contest against the Buccaneers. They just weren't able to get it all together at the end. And of course, Tom Brady being Tom Brady, once he got the ball with the last 2 minutes, that was all she wrote. And that was it for the Eagles. The Eagles are at 26 at 2-4. 25, the Atlanta Falcons. By default this week, kind of sitting in the same spot. They're 2-3. They will be back this week as they take on the Dolphins. Another chance for the Falcons to get themselves rolling again and get themselves back at 500. So low-key, the Falcons are slowly making their way back into the fold here, and especially against a Dolphins team that is struggling. This is a chance for Atlanta to take that step. Next, number 24, the Washington football team. Devastating loss, in my opinion, to the Chiefs, because this was a really big week for Washington. A lot of controversy in Washington, especially with the Sean Taylor situation. Of course, Washington randomly last week says, hey, guess what? We're going to retire Sean Taylor jersey. They don't give the fans no real time to kind of get themselves prepared for it. And the Washington football team knows how important Sean Taylor is to that organization. God rest his soul. For them to kind of like push that thing ahead without giving the fans a lot of notice, a lot of fans were not thrilled about that. They were upset about it. And the whole weekend just had its like quirks. They had Jackson Mahomes, I believe, who is Pat Mahomes' brother. He was dancing on Sean Taylor's emblem that they had on the field. They had his number painted on the field, and he was dancing in there, made a TikTok dance. He went and took it down. It was a big controversy about that. There was other Chiefs fans sitting in the middle of it during the game. I don't know how these people can't see there's a barrier. There was a barrier around it, and they still were dancing around it. Just a very bad week for Washington. They actually played well in the first half defensively, and it was starting to look like the defense everybody was looking forward to, and then Pat Mahomes was Pat Mahomes. And Pat Mahomes went out there and did Pat Mahomes things. And the Chiefs won that game 31-13. So the Washington football team are at 24 with a 2-4 record. Number 23, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts who beat up on the Texans. Won 31-3. Starting to see a little life there from Wentz. They did lose Paris Campbell after he made a big touchdown. And that's a little bit of a tough blow for this Colts team. They did get T.Y. Hilton back, but they are 2-4, and they're starting to they look like they're trying to get their mojo going. So I like what I'm seeing for the Colts, but they're still at the bottom. Number 22, the Seahawks. The Seahawks put up a very impressive effort against Pittsburgh on Sunday night. They're 2-4 on the season, but without Russell Wilson, Geno Incorporated, they had a decent game. They kept it in there. They just could not pull it off in the end, and they ended up losing that game in overtime, 23-20. But they definitely had heart. They definitely gave a great effort. Just wasn't enough. We had the Seahawks at 22. 21, the 49ers. Obviously, the 49ers are here by default. They didn't play last week. They were on a bye. So they're 2-3. They actually lost a couple spots. They were at 19, but we had some great performances by some other teams that put them into the next tier. So that is the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, heading into week 7. And with these bottom teams, man, I still think there are a couple teams I'm excited about. I think that could, take some leaps and do some good things. So we're going to see what they're going to do. I think the Colts are a team to kind of watch out for. The Falcons are a team you got to watch out for to see if they can gain some momentum. Washington's got to figure something out. The Eagles have got to figure something out. The Seahawks potentially could get Russell back. There's a little mumblings that Russell could come back. I don't think it happens until maybe another week or two, probably the Green Bay game with my luck. But the Seahawks team had their moments. The 49ers are still perfect time for a bye because, Trey Lance hurt, Jimmy Garoppolo hurt. See if one of those guys will be back for that 49ers team here in week 6. Excuse me, week 7. I apologize. Now, let's swing over to the outside looking in. So the outside looking in this week, the Patriots finally cracking the top 20. They've been kind of in the mist most of the season, but they are now in the top 20. A great game against Dallas. A great effort by Mack Jones. And I got to say this about Mack Jones. He is everything to me advertised and more because when he's on the field to me, looks and feels. Do not take this the wrong way. He's not Tom Brady. He's not better than Tom Brady. I'm not saying he isn't or will or whatever it will be. He's still got to prove that. But when I see him on the field, there's a lot of it gives you a Tom Brady vibe. Like he's just very cool, calm, and collected. You can tell the guy has championships under his belt. He goes in there and he doesn't look flustered most of the time. And I like what I see from the young man out there in New England. Great pickup for the Patriots in the draft when they picked up Mack Jones. I like it. There's still a lot of pieces that need to be fixed on that team, but I like what I see so far. Number 19, the Chicago Bears. Chicago in a very tough matchup against Green Bay. And, as my man Aaron Rodgers said during the game, I still own you. I still own you. He still owns the Chicago Bears. And I know the Bears fans that I know are not going to like that, but that's okay. It definitely is okay, but it's true. The guy has just dominated the Chicago Bears in his tenure in Green Bay. And, if the lady didn't give the double bird, he may have never even said it. But the lady can't throw the double deuce up at Aaron. I guess you can. You're a Chicago fan. I mean, you got to go in there and show your dislike for the team. But, man, you shouldn't have threw the double bird. Aaron had to show off a little bit. The Bears, number 19 on this list at 3-3. Next at number 18, the Denver Broncos. And the Broncos are starting to slide. At the highest on this countdown, I believe the Broncos, we had them in the top 10. They were starting to make leeway at the highest. They were sitting at 10th. And now they've dropped all the way to 18th after this 3-game losing streak. They just have not been able to get out of it. Of course, Teddy was down one game. They made a valiant effort against Pittsburgh, had a chance. Last week, they just never had a chance against a Raiders team who is trying to figure out what's going on ever since the John Gruden incident. So, unfortunately, the Broncos slide back. They're at number 18. They're 3-3. Number 17, the team that beat them the week before last, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is slowly starting to bounce back. They're 3-3 now. They had won their first game of the season. They lost 3 in a row. Now they've won 2 in a row. They beat the Broncos, and then they beat the Seahawks on Sunday night. So now we're starting to see the Steelers team, starting to creep up the power rankings, starting to do a little something. So we'll see what they can do. As Pittsburgh is now at number 17, the highest they've been on the power rankings. Next, number 16, the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, who at one point the highest were sitting at 8, and then that top 10, sitting in that top 10 spot, have slid down to 16. They are another team who have lost 3 straight games after starting 3-0. And you can still tell this team has a lot of potential, a lot of good things coming from this team. I love what I've seen from Sam Darnold this year. There was no quitting Sam Darnold in that game on Sunday versus the Vikings. They had a chance, couldn't pull it off. The Vikings won it in overtime, but I like what I see from Carolina. They're going to be competitive all year long. And I just, if they can ever get Christian McCaffrey healthy, he hasn't been healthy in 2 years. And it's killing them because they need him in that lineup. It makes such a different dynamic for that Carolina Panthers team. All right, y'all, that's that. Outside looking in, Patriots 20, Bears 19, Broncos 18, Steelers 17, Panthers at 16. All right, those are the outside looking in. And finally, we get into that top 15. In the top 15 this week, we've got some new people that have kind of scooched their way back into the fold. We had some people drop. Let's see where it starts. First, it starts off at number 15 with the New Orleans Saints. Now, obviously, New Orleans did not play this week. They were at 15. They're 3-2 this week. New Orleans will be taking on the Seahawks on Monday night. Let's see if they can take advantage of potentially not having Russell Wilson in the lineup. See if they can move to 4-2 and make some leeway in that division against the Buccaneers. At number 14, highest on the power rankings so far this season for them, the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings are 3-3, 2 games back of the Packers in the North. But I like what I've seen from this Vikings team. A lot of fight. Kirk Cousins is one thing you can say about Kirk Cousins. He's always been a fighter at times. And, when he's playing his best ball when nobody's recognizing it, if that makes any sense. When people are not really paying attention in Minnesota, he plays his best ball. Once they start to do really, really well, people start to, there's when mistakes start to kick in. But I like what I've seen from Minnesota the last couple of weeks. They're pushing ahead here. They're number 14 on the power rankings. They are 3-3. Next, at number 13, the Kansas City Chiefs. Still the worst defense in football. Definitely in that bottom 5 and the worst defense in football. But they had a decent week last week. They're trying to get themselves back in the motions. Pat Mahomes started to look a little bit like Pat Mahomes in the second half of that Washington football team game on Sunday. So I like what I saw there. We got Kansas City. They move up to 13. They're trying to crawl their way back into that top 10. Let's see if they can do that over the next couple of weeks. Number 12, the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland has looked, well, at times really good this season and at times really bad. Now, they're nicked up with injuries right now. Over the last couple of weeks, they've had seen Baker banged up with some injuries. Landry got hurt. They lost Chubb. You have Hunt who's been having a great season. So all of those valuable pieces of this team, they get Odell back, but then they can't get the other guys on that team back to where they need to be. So if they can ever get everybody back into that same boat, this Cleveland team is dangerous. But they got a big contest tonight. They have to win tonight against Denver to stay afloat, in my opinion, because the Ravens are starting to play really well. Pittsburgh is starting to catch a little fire, and the Bengals have been playing really well. So that AFC North continues to just bring a lot of heat into the kitchen. Number 11, the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this is a pleasant surprise for me at 11 because Vegas went into last week and you said to yourself, man, this is going to be a disaster this week. I picked against them. There's only one person on the network that picked Vegas to win that game last week, and that was our man, Ty Montgomery, knocking out the Lone Ranger pick. So congrats to Ty on that. But this Vegas team was just, it was looking rough coming into that week. But, man, Derek Carr and the crew really just went out there and they showed up and they showed out. Vegas is at 11. They've crawled back up a little bit, trying to reach back into that top 10. They're 4-2. They found a way not to be in the same situation that the Panthers and the Broncos, being 3-0 teams that would lose 3 straight games. Great job out of Raiders. They are number 11. Number 10, the Los Angeles Chargers. This team, we thought last week, Ravens, Chargers, this is going to be a phenomenal game. A phenomenal game. We thought it was going to be greatness. And it was the complete opposite. The Chargers just didn't show up. They didn't make the trip from the West Coast. They were there. They made it to Baltimore, but they weren't there at all. It was just pure domination. And the Ravens just went in there and they just beat up on them. Just from beginning to end. 34-6. Wasn't a contest. Had me looking upset last week. One of the 3 games I lost last week. So thanks a lot, Chargers. And that's what I get for choosing them, I guess. But the Chargers still sitting in the top 10. They're 4-2. Let's see if they can change things a little bit here and maybe get things back. Once the bye week is over, maybe they can get back into the fold again. When they do get back from the bye, they will be taking on the Patriots. So that'll give them a chance to maybe recollect their thoughts this week and see what happens from there. At number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Cincinnati came into this week, and I said last week on the show, man, I really felt bad for the Lions because I felt that the Cincinnati Bengals will come in there guns a-blazing. And boy, was I right on this one, 34-11. And Joe Burrow continues to show why he is a great young prospect in the NFL, and it could be a really good quarterback for a long time in this league as long as Cincinnati can keep him upright. Cincinnati is at number 9 with a bullet. Number 8. Now this one's tough for me because I'm a huge advocate of the Buffalo Bills, and they dropped a solid 6 spots here in the power rankings. They were number 2 last week. They dropped to number 8, and this is mostly due, in my opinion, to all the other teams ahead of them being able to pull off dubs. But Buffalo lost to the Titans. And it was a great game on Monday night, 34-31. A game that Buffalo could have won if they had kicked the field goal at the end of that game and potentially go into overtime. But am I completely mad at Sean McDermott for making the move, trying to go for first and then potentially going for the win? No, I can't. I can't be mad at that. That's something that sometimes you got to do in this game. It's early in the season. You got to try to make leaps, continue to grow on. I understand the situation. Maybe they thought they'd get in overtime. They can't stop Derrick Henry, who was phenomenal all night long. I mean, Derrick Henry was just a freight train in that Monday night game. And we all know that trying to stop Derrick Henry can be a whole problem. 20 carries, 143 yards, and 3 touchdowns, including a 76-yard scamper where he just took off. I'm just telling you, the guy's special. Buffalo's at 8, but that can definitely change the way these things are going to go over the next couple of weeks. Number 7, speaking of the Tennessee Titans, they won. They make the leap. They're the number 2 team in the AFC right now for me. I still don't like what I see from the quarterback play to an extent. I like Ryan Tannehill. I still think he's the guy there to a point, but it's just sometimes it just seems like it's off. They've got to find a way to, one, keep Julio healthy and get him the ball more. Julio made a great play in that game, but they got to find a way to get him involved in that game a little bit more. We got the Tennessee Titans at 7. At 6, the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens just destroyed the Chargers. Easy right here. Best team in the AFC right now. They're 5-1. They lost the first game to Oakland. They could easily be 6-0. Easily be 6-0 right now. But they played great football, and everybody thought, including myself, when we saw every running back on that team start to fall, get hurt, get injured, what have they done? A heavy dose of Lamar Jackson. You sprinkle in a little bit of Murray from New Orleans. You throw in a little bit of Bell from Kansas City, who was a free agent. You throw in a little Devontae Freeman. And with Tyson Williams, the young guy, they just brought all those running backs in. They said, we'll figure it out. And Baltimore has done just that. They're at number 6. Number 5. Yes, right. All NFC teams are in my top 5. Right now, the Green Bay Packers, who are also on a 5-game winning streak, defeated their hated rival, the Chicago Bears, 24-14. And it actually was a really good game. And then Green Bay was able to pull it off at the very end. And, Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers had to let the Chicago Bears fans know that he # still owns them. This Packer fan smiled just a little bit. But the Packers are at number 5. Number 4, the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams went in there, beat up on the Giants. It was too easy, too smooth. They're 5-1. They continue to move right along. Easy to have them at number 4 right now. The Rams they're just cooking. They're just cooking. Number 3, the Dallas Cowboys. And this one, they've slowly but surely crept into this top 3. And I got a lot of flack for having them in the top 10 at the beginning of the season. But now they're cruising into the top 3 at a 5-1 record. They're another team, lost their first game, have won 5 straight, and have won some really nice ones in that span. That Patriots game could have went either way, but Dak, very impressive throw at the end of the game to CeeDee Lamb to win it. Cowboys on the bye this week. Don't see them losing their spot, but we'll see how the rest of the week goes, if they slide or not because of it. But they're on fire right now, and they're 5-1. Dallas Cowboys, watch out for them. Number 2, the team that defeated Dallas in game 1 of the season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, got them at number 2. Pretty much smooth against Philadelphia last week. They were in a good spot, no big deal. They still, up 28-7, almost lost it, but they were able. They had Tom Brady. They were fine. Buccaneers at number 2. And number 1, the Arizona Cardinals. Wow. How impressive are the Arizona Cardinals? I mean, for them to be, they've been able to bring in pieces, J.J. Watt and, A.J. Green, and, now they brought in Zach Ertz, but he didn't play in the games. They're just putting pieces together. No Cliff Kingsbury. He was out because of COVID, and they went into Cleveland and beat down the Cleveland Browns. Now, obviously, we talked about a little bit earlier how they're nicked up, but man, Arizona went in there and they were just swinging haymakers. Man, it was hard to watch at some points. We thought the Browns would make a little bit of a run. Baker banged up his shoulder. It was just tough. But the Cardinals, man, 37-14. That's the second team in this top 10. Actually, the third team in this top 10 that they've put a hurting on. The Titans, one of their losses, Cardinals. They beat up on the Rams. I mean, the Rams made a small comeback. They beat up on the Browns. All teams that we've had in our top 10, all top-tier teams, this Arizona Cardinals team has punched in the mouth. Arizona's number 1 heading into week 7. All right, y'all. There it is. That's our top 32 teams. That's the power rankings. We're going to go through real quick one last time before we give you our top 5 MVPs heading into week 7. Let's start it off with the bottom. The bottom, 32, the Lions, 31, the Jets, 30, Texans, 29, Giants, 28, Jaguars, the Dolphins at 27, Eagles, 26, Falcons, 25, Washington football team at 24, the Colts, 23, Seahawks, 22, and the 49ers, 21. In the outside looking in, the Patriots moving into the top 20 for the first time this season. They are number 20. The Bears at number 19, Broncos, 18, Steelers, 17, and the Panthers are at number 16. Then number 15, the New Orleans Saints won a bye last week. They are at number 15. The Minnesota Vikings, number 14 on the power rankings. Number 13, the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 12, the Cleveland Browns. Number 11, the Las Vegas Raiders. Number 10, the Los Angeles Chargers. Number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 8, the Buffalo Bills. Number 7, the Tennessee Titans. Number 6, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 5, the Green Bay Packers. Number 4, the Los Angeles Rams. Number 3, how about them Cowboys at number 3? Number 2, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And number 1, the Arizona Cardinals. Like I said, the season's getting a little bit more juicier, getting a little bit more better at this time. I know that might be bad English, but it is what it is. This team is this season is just, we've been talking about every week, man. It's been more fun. It's been more exciting. It's just been great football so far as we enter week 7. And I'm excited to see what this week lies, because there's some, decent games coming into this week. And I'm just intrigued. Like I said, the Broncos and the Browns tonight, that's going to be an interesting one. The Packers take on Washington to see if the Packers can continue their thing. Chiefs and Titans. If you're the Titans, you got to be careful, because the Chiefs, they've kind of had their number to see if they can make things happen. So Ravens and Bengals, a huge matchup to see who will be the division leader in the NFC North. There's a big opportunity for the Bengals to leapfrog. So we'll see. But yeah, we got some good games this week. The Cardinals taking on the Texans. That's going to be a blowout. So we got some good ones. We'll see how all of that goes here in week 7. All right. So before I get out of here, of course, we got to do, and this is almost no longer the way too early list. We're almost at the mid-season list. So after next week, we're switching it to mid-season. This is the way too early MVP list. At number 5, Josh Allen. Despite losing last week, man, what a performance by Josh Allen and the team. The Titans definitely did a really good job against him. But man, he's still in the mix, still punching people in the mouth, playing great football, getting the ball around to all his weapons. I like what I'm seeing from Josh. He's number 5. Number 4, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is an absolute beast. One day he's going to creep up into that top 2, maybe even number 1. But right now he's number 4 on this list. He does so much for that Titans team, and they would not be where they are without Mr. Henry. Number 3, that's right. We talked about it last week. We thought this would be the week for him to get into the top 5. He is at number 3. That's Lamar Jackson. The work that he's put in it so far this season, he is making a case to be MVP for the second time. I mean, really doing a really good job for that Baltimore Ravens team. They are the best team in the AFC. We got Lamar Jackson at number 3. Number 2, Dak Prescott. Great game against this Patriots team who has been fighting all year. They've been a very tough out. Even though they're 2-4, they've been a very tough out for the majority of the season. And Dakota and the crew definitely fought hard, did a really good job at the end of that game until Dak hit CeeDee Lamb for the game winner. We got Prescott at number 2. And number 1, it hasn't changed for the last couple of weeks. Kyler Murray, the leader, Baby Yoda of that Cardinals team. We've got him at number 1 on the way too early list, which will change to the midseason list next week. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's been so much fun so far. And doing the power rankings, we've had a ball. I don't know, man. When football season's over, I'm thinking like we got to push it. We got to do something a little bit different. We got to keep something going there. So, yeah. Once again, thank you all for tuning in, y'all. Appreciate you. We'll be back next week on the 28th for week 8 action and to get into that and give you our power rankings as we head into week 8. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your man, Darrell Owens. Thank you all for tuning in for another edition of One-on-Ones, the quick ones editions here, the NFL Power Rankings. This one was week 7. Once again, thank y'all. Y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy. Absolutely enjoy football this weekend. Until next time, peace.
One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one.